Hello Flosstube, and welcome to Cindy's Adventures in Stitching. This is lucky episode 13, and it's been a while since we've been able to film, and there's kind of a long story that explains that. But before we get started, I just want to say one thing. Here's a toast to mental health and hobbies. Without our hobbies, I feel like there would be an emptiness or a void in our lives. So I'm just very grateful to you guys for watching, grateful to my husband for being supportive, grateful to my ancestors for introducing me to stitching, and with that I say let's get started. About 6 weeks ago, Sam had surgery, and the first week he was an excellent patient. Did what he was supposed to do, wasn't grouchy, did his best to recover. And after a week, he was like, you know what, you want to go to Michigan? And I said, sure. So we jumped in the car, we made our reservations, and we spent a week up there. We did some exploring, we did some shopping, and I didn't get a lot of stitching done, but I was able to get a few things that I think you might be interested in. I picked up some quilt blocks, some antique quilt blocks that I'm going to turn into a couple of quilts. One of them will be like an autumn quilt. You can see the different colors. They just kind of go together. There were a few that were a little different colorway, and so I decided I was going to use those antique blocks to make a project bag. And this is an example of that. There weren't very many pink ones, not enough to really do a table runner or anything like that. So I used some shape flex to the back of the quilt block because they're pretty thin. And honestly, I think I got all of these quilt blocks for $12, and I was thrilled because I can do an autumn quilt. Now it won't be very big, but I do think it'll be big enough. And then I can do like a red, white, and blue, which is kind of the theme that I use in the summer for decorating. So I'm excited to get that done. But I did want to show you this vintage block that made a pretty easy project bag. And then also wanted to show you some other finishes that I have. This is from Brenda Gervais with I Needle and Thread. And I got a couple little pillows done. And I used bias tape around the edges. So I sewed them wrong side out together. So I didn't have to turn them inside out. I put the bias tape on. Then I slit the back like I typically do, stuffed the pillow, and then I used my Cricut to make a tomato shape that would cover up the slit in the back of the pillow. And going along with that, this is my new start. I used the same fabric that I used for these. It's 28 count Lugana, and I got it from Keepsakes in Cincinnati. And this is my Tomato Tuesday stitch that I'm doing along with my cousin Lisa. And we're definitely making progress. We're just, you know, kind of slow depending. I'm not someone who can stitch in the car. I can only stitch if I'm sitting still. So that really kind of cut down on some things. But also wanted to show you another finish that I have. And this was, the pattern is called Stars. And we'll show you the chart. I've shown this in other floss tubes that I have. And this is my error. I did not, oops. This is also wanted to share with you too. This is an antique frame that we got at an antique mall in Michigan. And I thought it would be perfect for this stitch. And it would be if I hadn't made this big goof and didn't leave enough at the top. So I think I have a way to remedy that. I've got some fabric that I got recently at a trip to Missouri with my sisters. We went to a quilt store called Quilter Station, and it was in Lee's Summit, Missouri. And it's a fabulous, fabulous, fabulous quilt store. It had wool, it had quilting fabric, it had cross stitch, it had a lot, and I've got some pictures that I can show you. It had a lot of fabric. She had a lot of charts, and I really goofed in that when I got ready to check out. Of course, you know, I've got not a big stack, but a little bit of things, and I'm talking to the gal and I'm talking to the owner, and I didn't pay attention that my charts got on the pile of merchandise that I wanted to buy. We got in the car, we're driving away, I'm looking through everything, and I realized I don't have my charts. I checked my receipt, and luckily I wasn't charged, so we didn't have to turn around, because it probably would have been a half an hour drive back. But lesson learned, you know, pay attention to when you're checking out that you have all the things that you want, because I did not end up with everything that I wanted.
Kind of like keeping track of your purse?
Kind of like keeping track of my purse. My husband had to mention that because I just happened to leave my purse in a restaurant. And that's another story, but we won't bore everyone with that.
Oh no, let's.
Maybe later.
Okay.
So here's what I'm going to do. I found this fabric at, like I said, Quilter Station, and I think it's going to be perfect. So I'm going to make a pillow out of it, and these will be my sides. I'm going to miter the corners, and I
Using
will...
my miter saw again?
No, you know what? You can miter without a miter saw. Did you know that?
Yeah, it's just harder.
It is.
I'm not a handsaw type of guy.
Yeah, this doesn't involve a saw
It's
at
power
all.
tools or nothing.
Let's see, make sure I get this right. Yeah, I got them wrong. There is actually an up and down to this fabric, so when I get ready to sew it, I'm going to have to make sure I pay attention to that. So I will make sure that I've got these equidistant around the edge, but there is an up and down to this fabric. You can see it in the stars. So
Stars are longer.
yeah, and there's no sideways stars.
Gotcha.
So when I do this, I'll be able, I have plenty of fabric. Oh, shoot. I have plenty of fabric, and I can, oh my gosh. I'm all thumbs. You know what? That camera turns on and I lose my memory and I become all thumbs. Well, I kind of lose my memory all the time anyway, so that's not just a camera thing, but anyway, you get the idea. So I'll make a pillow out of this, and I think it'll be really pretty, and I can pass that on to a family member if I want to, if I so choose. So this fabric I got at Quilter Station, and like I said, I think it matches perfectly, and I think it will do just fine. Although I am sad I couldn't use my frame that I picked out for it, but I'll be able to use that for something else.
You put a picture of your husband in that.
I could put a picture of my husband in that, except I don't think the darts would penetrate that glass.
Oh, harsh.
Anyway, so another thing that I got when we were in Michigan is there were some of these little doilies, and they're just precious. Obviously someone has hand appliqued, hand crocheted, and hand embroidered those. So while I was on my trip, I was looking for some fabric, again, to make project bags. I really love making project bags because it's pretty quick, and I thought, wouldn't that be pretty at the bottom of a project bag? And the great thing about project bags is you can make them any way that you want. You can make them with vintage stuff, or you can make them with holiday fabric, you can make them with gingham, just all kinds of fabric. So that was another idea that I had. Then another finish that I did get done was this project bag, and I just cross-stitched an anchor on it, and I was really glad I chose a simple pattern because it is not easy to do these. And actually the lady at Quilter Station said that she had been told that when you get ready to stitch it, you turn your bag upside down and you look at your pattern upside down, and it makes it a little bit easier to stitch. That way you're working from the bottom and you've got an opening in which to pull your thread through.
Now, why is it so hard? Because it's a mesh?
Because there's a back to it.
Oh.
So if you have just a regular piece of fabric, you know, you're working,
Gotcha.
you know, front to back, and it's no big deal. But this back kind of got in the way. So, and you know, oddly enough, this is something I did in the car because the squares were so big, it wasn't hard to see, I guess. That was the reason why it was easier, even though it wasn't, I can't say it wasn't fun, but.
Is that where you lost the scissors?
Yes.
Gotcha.
No, that was different. That was, I was doing English paper piecing in the car.
So that's where you lost the needle underneath the seat.
That's where I lost the needle under the seat.
I knew there was something missing.
Yeah, that's where I lost the needle under the seat. But I did eventually find it. But you know what? I do have one of those handheld magnets. I need to keep that in my traveling bag because that comes in handy when you lose your needle.
The people that sit on the needle would greatly appreciate you doing that.
Yeah. Or I was, actually I was worried it was going to poke a hole in the seat, but the leather seat, but it didn't because I found it. So it all worked out.
My bottom.
Yeah, it all worked out okay. So that is how I'm going to fix my big boo-boo on this. And now that I have the app on my phone about the fabric calculator, I should never ever make that mistake again. So I'm hoping not. And honestly, I'm kind of glad I'm done with this. I kind of got tired of working on it. I love it. I really do love it. And I think it turned out nicely, but I'm ready to move on to something else, you know.
How long did you work on it?
I don't know how many hours. And you know, that is something that I'm going to try and keep track of.
You started last winter. Like
yeah,
fall.
I've been working on it for a while.
Yeah.
But now I've also been working on some other things too. Like I've been working on the tomato ones. So it wasn't a monogamous stitch, but it took me longer than I thought it would. At first I thought it was going really quickly. I thought the letters were going very quickly, but then it seemed to, I don't know, it kind of drug on. So wanted to show you this as well, another project bag related situation. So this was part of a vintage dish towel, and I turned it into a project bag, and I think it turned out really cute. I like it a lot. And so I got a couple of other vintage dish towels that I'm going to turn into a project bag. And what I love about it is you got your borders on the side, and I just think it looks really neat, and I think this will be a good size for a project bag. So that's on my to-do list.
Is that for your vintage camper?
Could be, couldn't it?
Could be.
Yeah, could definitely be. And we're outside filming because it is such a beautiful night. This is August, what is today?
3rd.
The 3rd. That's Bethany, it's my daughter-in-law's birthday, so I should have known that right off the bat. But anyway, you know, it's not humid, and the temperature's, what would you say, low 80s? So it's really nice out. So here's another vintage dish towel that was in good shape. And you know, vintage dish towels are a whole heck of a lot cheaper than a vintage tablecloth is. So this will also be, I'm going to turn that into a project bag as well. I kind of like the vintage project bag look. So excited to do that. Wanted to also show you, oh, let me go back to the haul from Quilter Station, which my friend Diane, my stitchy friend Diane, said that Quilter Station is probably one of her favorite quilt stores because it has everything. And I would have to concur with that. It'd be hard to pick my absolute favorite, but it's in the top 5 or 3 because it has everything, and it had a great selection of charts. They didn't have a ton of models, but they did have a lot of charts. So I picked up some fabric. This is called cow fodder, which I thought was really cute, and the company is Dames of the Needle. It's a 32 count linen, and I hope I like stitching with linen because I'm starting to really accumulate quite a bit of it. But I thought that would be a great thing for autumn. And in fact, I've got a couple charts that I know exactly what I'm going to use that for. And then I also got Weeks Dye Works. It's just called Beige, and it's a 30 count linen. And this is what this one looks like.
I'm going to guess that a man named that color.
Beige?
Yeah.
Didn't take a whole lot of creativity for that one, did it?
You know, someday when I retire, I'd really like a job of naming paint colors.
Oh, yeah. Wouldn't that be fun?
Just pull crazy things out of the air and
Well,
say,
that's what they do.
yeah.
You know what I want to do when I retire? This is a job. If I were ever going to go back to work, I would want to travel the country, and my job would be to rate is probably not the best word, but maybe highlight. That's better. That's more positive. Highlight needle shops and what they're best at. Not what it's lacking, but what they're best at. Like this one is the best for fabric. This one is the best for all different kinds of floss. This one is the best for their models. And I can already tell you that Quilter Station would be it would be rated highly for all the fabric that they had and the chart selection that they had. And Keepsakes over in Cincinnati would be rated for their models because they had great, great, great models. And then Fabrics would be the needle shop that was in Ocala, Florida. And of course, right now I can't think of the name of it. And if anyone's watching this, they're probably saying, it's such and such. But I can't think of it right now. When the camera turns off, then I'll remember it. But
We have this thing called an editor that can put it on the screen.
oh yeah, I like that. That's good. We'll put it on the screen. And then Cranberry Bog Cottages or Cottage would be the one that's in Terre Haute, Indiana. That would be rated highest for just ambiance because that little shop is so darn cute. In fact, we need to plan a trip to go back down there.
Oh, because you know what's in Bowling Green.
Mm-mm.
We're a little restaurant right there on the road that had a really good breakfast.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That wasn't Bowling Green.
Bowling Green, Indiana.
Was that Bowling Green?
I think so.
I don't think it was Bowling Green.
We'll flip a coin.
We'll put it on the screen.
We'll put on the screen which one's right.
And I'm pretty sure it's going to be me.
Oh boy.
Anyway, I got this rickrack. I saw this rickrack and I loved it. And so then I saw the fabric and I thought, well, I got to get that because that matches. And I don't really have a ton of fabric, so this will go into my stash.
It's probably a good thing I don't think like that when I go in gun stores. Well, I got to get that because that matches. They're all black. They all match.
Yeah, see, boring. Yeah. So anyway, that is what I ended up getting from Quilter Station, and that was in Lee's Summit, Missouri. My sisters and I went to Missouri Star, and who knew that there were so many quilt shops in Missouri? I honestly
we'll have to
didn't
show
know.
that picture. The
Oh,
picture you
yes.
sent me.
Yes, of
Yeah.
all the shops. We went to some really, really cute ones. There was one called, and this was in, it's by the airport, not Smithville, Parkville. I think it was Parkville. And it was called Stashworthy Fabrics. Cute, cute store. And then there was another one called the Quilting Chic, I think is what it was called. And it was super duper cute. And they were really close to each other. We could have walked, but we didn't. We drove.
Is
But
that two chicks quilting?
Quilters, I think it was Quilters Chicks. Quilters Chic.
There's a lot of chicks doing this.
Yeah, there are a lot of chicks doing this. But one of the highlights also, besides going to all those fabulous quilt stores, was we went to Angela Walters' quilt shop. And if you follow any quilting videos, I don't know, they should have like quilt tube or something. I mean, we have floss tube, they should have like a quilt tube. But anyway, Angela Walters does, The Midnight Quilter is the name of her YouTube channel. And she also sells long arms, and she does a lot of videos. She has a lot of videos on free motion quilting on the long arm, and so I bought her book. So I'm excited about that, and I think it'll be very, very helpful. And then I also bought these cute little buttons that I can use. I got those at Quilter's Station as well. Then, I wanted to show you another finish that I have. And this is an applique pillow. And I got the pattern from Pat Sloan. I don't know, again, she's a quilter, and I got it from this book, Celebrate the Seasons, and I think it's an older book. If you look at Pat Sloan's hair, her hair is much different now than it is in this picture. But here's the picture of the pillow, the fabric that she used, and then this was fabric that I just had. So I'm very satisfied with it, and I don't know if you can see I used my decorative stitches to do the applique, and I think it just turned out really, really cute. And you know, it's not often that I'm happy or satisfied with a project that I do, because I'm always the first to see if I made a mistake. But I don't think I made any major mistakes on this. That's pretty good for me.
It's a keeper.
Yeah, it's a keeper for sure. So I am going to start, I need to make a decision. I've got some Teresa Kogut patterns or charts here that I have to decide which one I'm going to do first. And I think they're all three really, really cute. I think this one will take me a very, very long time. But they all three go together, and I think they'd be cute and darling to put on the wall. So that's going to be my next thing to start. And along those lines, I want to set up, we have a little video to show you. We have a Teardrop Camper in addition to, I call her Sassy, in addition to Sassy. And we went to, it's a bushwhacker, and we went to the bushwhacker, that's hard to say, the bushwhacker rally.
There you go.
In Hot Springs.
It's actually the bushwhacker boil.
Oh, that's easier.
Yep.
The bushwhacker boil in Hot Springs, North Carolina. And I got in touch with Doreen of Privies and Prims, and she met us over there. And then we met a fellow cross stitcher, and we've got a video that shows what she's been working on, and then shows Doreen and I catching up with each other. And it's just a real cute little video that I want you to watch. But before we show that, I want to say that we are soon leaving for, this is a trip that's on my bucket list. We're going to Maine, and we're going to leave here, which is southern Indiana. We're going up to Ohio, and our first stop is going to be Sue Spargo's Folk Art Quilts shop. And if you do any wool applique, you will know Sue Spargo. Sue Spargo does a ton of decorative stitches on wool applique. So we're going to go there, and from there we're going, our first night we're staying in New York, correct?
In Vernon, New York. In
Vernon, New York, and from there we're going to Vermont. What town are we going to in Vermont?
We'll be camping, it'll be outside of Richmond, Vermont.
Okay.
And then we'll be in Vermont for 3 days, just tooling around, going to antique stores and needle shops.
Yes, so please, I implore you, if you know of any needle shops, excuse me, I just touched my microphone, so it probably will be staticky. But if you know any needle shops that will be along our route, and Sam's going to show you a picture of our route, please leave me a comment. Because that's part of the purpose of going to this also, is to explore needle shops as well. And so then we're going to Acadia National Park, and I'm super stoked about that. And then we're going down to the Catskills, and we're going to meet up with a friend that also has a bushwhacker, and he has a very successful channel called DIY Outdoor. Isn't it Outdoor?
Outdoor Life.
Outdoor Life, okay.
Yeah, Brian Smith with DIY Outdoor Life.
Okay, so check out his channel. It's very camping heavy, if you know what I mean, where this is stitch heavy. His is very camping heavy, but he does a great job. So we're going to meet up with he and his wife, and we're going to stay. Fiance. Oh, I thought they got married.
He didn't tell me if they did.
Okay,
So.
Fiance. So anyway, stoked about that. And then we're coming back through Pennsylvania.
Yes.
We're coming back through Pennsylvania.
Probably the Pennsylvania Turnpike, but I'll have to look to make sure on that.
Okay. So that's a pretty big route. You said it was like 2,700 miles?
Round trip, yep.
Round trip, 2,700 miles. I'm hoping that's a lot of needle shops.
So we might get back about January.
And I'm going to be broke.
You seen gas prices? We're going to be broke before we get there.
I know. They were so cheap around the 4th of July.
Yeah, what happened? Heat wave, go figure.
Yeah. But I was really very blessed and lucky enough to spend a week with my grandkids on a lake not far from here called Berry Branch Lake. And it was just me and them during the day, and then Sam came in the evening, and he and Miles fished, and we had campfires, and they played King of the Raft, and it was really, really fun. So I might, if you'll indulge me, I might throw in a few pictures of grandkids and our week that we shared together, because we had a lot of fun. And then one more piece of news. We met an awesome, awesome lady, Sylvia, and she lives in Atlanta. And we bought my new car, only it's not brand new. And I don't know, do you call a Jeep a car?
It's a multi-purpose vehicle according to the title.
Okay, it's a multi-purpose vehicle. And although the color of the Jeep does not match the color of Sassy, you know, my stitching camper, I still think they'll look sharp going down the road together. And she is a Chief Jeep, and only less than 2,000 of them were made. And
less than 201.
Only 201?
Yeah, there were less than 60 made in your color.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, they only made in 2017, and I believe it's 201 total for it, and that's combined United States and Canada. And in the Chief Vivid Blue, there were less than 60 made.
Wow.
You want to show her?
I do. Back it up, watch the guideline. So here she is, and I think she's the best. We have a two-door Jeep that we just kind of tool around. We don't really drive it long distances or anything. But what I loved about this is the white top, the white stripe, and I was in Indianapolis with for my granddaughter Harper's birthday, and I saw one of these. It was in a different color. It was in a navy blue color in the Target parking lot. And I sent a picture to Sam and I said, this is what I want. Because I've been looking at different vehicles, because my RAV is a 2013 and it has 235,000 miles on it. And I knew I was going to need something sometime. I was not in a situation where I had to get something right away, but I wanted to start looking. And when I saw this, I knew this is what I wanted. So of course Sam got on the internet and he said there's one in St. Louis and there's one in Atlanta. And we fell in love with Sylvia, the previous owner, and she was so kind. We got it and we went down and met some friends along the way, Susan and Jay. And they were a hoot. They also have a Bushwhacker Teardrop Camper, and the rest is
Susan
history.
and Jay.
Huh?
We miss Susan and Jay.
Yeah, I wish they lived in Indiana, but they don't. They live in Georgia. But anyway, so this is my new. I wouldn't call it a toy because she's functional, but I sure do like her a lot. So this video, back to the video, I know I totally digressed and I'm sorry about that.
I'm not sure how we got here.
I hope nobody was like, oh my gosh, would she shut up? But anyway, I do hope you'll stick around and watch the video of Crystal and Doreen, because what Crystal stitched was really very, very nice and very touching. So we are at the campground and we are talking with our new friend, Crystal from Ottawa, and she has quilt blocks that her grandmother started that are cross-stitched. Oh, how beautiful. How many are there?
I have 140 of these to make 5 quilts.
Oh my gosh.
For family members?
My grandmother started this for her great-grandchildren. And then she passed away, and then my mom took it over, and so she's done some of the squares, and then my mom passed away, and now I inherited them all, and between my sister and I, we split them up, and we're going to finish them to give them to our children, because they were made for our children. So
they're beautiful.
So as we're doing it, it's got the batting in between, So it's kind of a quilt as you go. So,
Yeah.
but once we're done with this, we're gonna put another batting and do the actual quilt as you go with the border around each square, and then
put backing
and
underneath
backing
it.
And before my mom passed away, she was very specific about this child has to have yellow, this one has to have purple. So we already know the colors that each of the kids are supposed to get.
Are they all different?
All the ones I have are different. All the ones I brought with me are all the same design. But I've got lilies, I've got roses, I've got just a leaf.
That is so neat.
I can't remember what else we got.
It looks like a butterfly, but it's a flower.
It is a flower, yeah.
Yeah.
I can show you one without.
It kind of looks like the wings coming out with the antennas.
So, Crystal, do you do a lot of cross stitching at home?
I do. I also do
Okay.
a counted cross stitch.
Yeah.
That I've been working on for 10 years. It's a big picture of an old-fashioned house with a big garden and a porch swing.
Sounds beautiful.
So I've been working on that a long time. But that's kind of what it looks like before it's all. before it's
Oh,
done.
neat. That's really pretty.
How far have you gotten along?
On these, I think I've probably done about 57 of them now.
Wow.
You've
That'd be
done
good.
57 of them?
I've done 57 of these already.
Wow. How long have you been working on them?
Probably a year and a half. I don't watch much TV, so I just sit
Yeah.
and sit with my husband while he's watching TV, and I'll stitch away and
You need to
Kind
watch
of-
Flosstube.
listen to
Doreen's Plug and
shows.
Floss Tube here.
Flosstube on YouTube.
Yeah. Do you watch any Floss Tube?
I don't. I've
you'll
seen
have to check.
I've seen a few, like, because I watch Missouri Star. I watch
Uh-huh.
them, and so I do pick up, like, I do see them on my page to watch.
Every
but
once in a while they
yeah.
come up.
Suggested to you, yeah.
Yeah.
And
So-
it's called Flosstube because we stitch with floss. And it's on YouTube, so it's called Flosstube.
You should see it when my grandmother and my mom passed away. I ended up with 5 bins of floss.
Oh, what a
And
gift.
so if you name the color number, the DMC color number, I probably have it in multiple schemes.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's
And if you
crazy.
get rid of it, then you'll need it. So don't get rid of it.
Yeah, no, I don't. But yeah, so I pick a color and I just and I sat and had to wind all these because they were all messed up.
Yeah.
So I spent a lot of time winding all
Yeah.
these bins of floss.
Yeah.
But
One hint is when you pick up the skein of DMC floss, pull from the end where the number tab is.
I do.
Because if you pull from the other end, it gets knotted up.
I've never had a problem with knotting.
Okay.
When I do this, I use three threads to do the cross stitch on this one, and the biggest problem is pulling it apart, like doing. So I've got it down to size. I do this, and I got a piece in my hand, hold this side, pull, do it a little bit, and pull.
Have you ever tried to pull 2 at one time? For me,
I
it
have.
always ends up in a knot.
But it's easier to do one at a time and then put them back together. And they
Yes.
tell you to do that and that they'll tangle less.
But I find it on this though, when you have that single string, they don't seem to fill the stamp.
No,
That's
I
on
mean
the thing.
pull one string from the 6th, then pull another string, then pull your 3rd, and then put them together.
I know, but that's what I'm saying now. When you put the 3 together,
Uh-huh.
they seem to separate when you're doing it on the
Okay.
stamp.
Oh,
that you
I
don't.
gotcha.
I mean, it's different when you're doing it in the 8 o'clock because the holes are this big, but these crosses are a little bit bigger. So
Another thing to do, because this is what I used to do, is take a clip clothespin, and if this is your floss, put it on the bottom, and then separate from the top, and as you pull it apart, the clothespin spins,
Oh.
and it doesn't get tangled. And you can go all the way down to the very end,
This is
and
what
it's
I
not
do. My
tangled.
husband sits there. I sit here. I said, "Here, honey, hold this," and I just pull. I get him to help me do that
Yeah.
if I can.
Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. And what a nice legacy from your grandmother.
But I do need to show you the quilt that's in the Bushwhacker.
Yeah.
I made a quilt specifically for the Bushwhacker, which is just a scrappy quilt. Like it was just one of the shot.
Can we go now?
Sure, we can go now.
So Crystal has made this, I would call it a string quilt. Would you call it a string quilt?
Yeah, a scrappy string quilt.
Yeah. and she was sharing that someone on Facebook Marketplace was selling a lot of fabric, and so she bought it, and this is what she created from that. And I'm telling you, it's beautiful. So nice. And you know what? I love the piano key border that you've done.
Yeah.
That's neat.
To just use up some more scraps.
Yeah. So did you use up all the scraps that you had?
Absolutely not. I've actually made a second one already. A little bit different than this one, but very similar. I made a second one, and I have enough probably to make about 5 more.
Oh my gosh.
But being from Canada and not having a Hobby Lobby, I stopped at Hobby Lobby and I bought a bolt of black fabric because I just find black makes the colors pop a lot more. And so I bought a bolt, so when I go home I've got lots of sewing to do.
Yeah. It's nice to have a goal and to be motivated to achieve that goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, it's beautiful, and thank you very much for sharing.
No problem.
Crystal's from up north.
Crystal's from Canada, yeah.
Hey.
Hey.
Yeah.
So anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, please give us a like and a comment. And I'm serious about wanting to know needle shops along the way, because that's kind of what this trip is about as well. Sam doesn't know it yet, but that's kind of what this trip is about.
I think the cat's out of the bag now.
Yeah, so anyway, thank you for watching, and please subscribe and share this video with other people, and we'll see you soon.
Okay, I'm Doreen.
And I'm
this is-
Cindy.
And I am Privies and Prims Needlecrafts.
And I am Cindy's Adventures in Stitching. And Doreen and I hooked up today. We're at a campground in Hot Springs, North Carolina, and we finally got to meet. We'd been corresponding online for months, actually.
Yeah, we met on Flosstube.
Yeah, we met on Flosstube, and we've become fast friends, and I'm so excited to get to meet her. It's been really fun.
So we got to chit chat a little bit, and next time we will camp together and we'll get to stitch together.
Yes, I'm unable to go to Doreen's retreat. I'm very, very sad about that. But if she does it again next year, it'll be a priority.
And I wish Sam was here, but he's out fishing.
Yeah, that's
So
okay.
I did get to meet him, and that was a nice pleasure. But so we're going to see you all on the next Flosstube. Don't forget the thumbs up.
And subscribe. Thank you.
Bye. He went fishing.
Did you catch anything?
catch something. We caught a rock.
Caught a rock. So say hi to Flosstube.
Hi, Flosstube.
You're on double camera.
Hey, boy, this doesn't happen very often.
I know, and
Yeah.
Crystal's like manning both cameras, which is being super talented.
How'd you get roped into this? You're just wrong place, wrong time.
Well, she showed us the quilt blocks that her grandmother had started, and then her mother worked on, and so now Crystal is continuing the legacy, and they're beautiful.
Cool
She's done
job.
a great, it's very cool. She's done a great job. So thank you very much for watching, and we will see you soon.
Bye.
Hi.